You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/CheapGeek. So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. It's episode number 134.
Storm Area 51, U.S. military ready to confront, contact in the desert, and scientists are searching for a mirror universe.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Yeah. What?
So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We actually have Bobby with us, our special guest in the studio, if you will, because this is our secret above-ground studio that we occasionally frequent when we do things like this. So this podcast is about what?
Well, CreepGeeks Podcast is an offbeat news podcast that takes a lighthearted approach to the paranormal, cryptid, strange, the silly, and trending tech topics circulating the web. Broadcasting paranormal news and fun stories from our underground bunker in the mountains of western North Carolina.
Yes. So like I said, we have Bobby here. Bobby's going to say hello.
Hello, and I appreciate not having to be blindfolded to enter the hidden studio.
Yeah, this is our public secret studio.
Yes.
Secret public studio.
And this is Bobby B. of Past Lives Project.
Yes.
Yes. And
Also known as the Past Lives Guy.
Yes.
I'm the self-appointed roving ambassador for CreepGeeks.
Yeah.
Roving ambassador. So we're moving up in the world.
And reporter.
That's right. So we got lots of things going on, and this podcast is growing, and it's growing through your support, which we very much appreciated. And this is the part of the podcast where I talk about different ways that you can actually support us in great and agonizing detail, because that's what you have to do these days. So if you'd like to support the podcast, you can do a couple different things. You can actually listen, which is always appreciated. You can also do a rating or, a review, if you will, from the different places that you listen to the podcast, which are numerous, such places as SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Pandora, where else?
Spotify,
Stitcher, pretty
Player
much anywhere
FM.
you can. Yep, Player FM. Pretty much anywhere you can pick up a podcast, you can pick our podcast up. And if you're listening there and you'd like to do a review or a rating, we'd very much appreciate it. We only accept only the finest quality 3 to 5 star reviews, because that's what we do.
Yes.
And, so the podcast is growing, and we do appreciate that quite a bit. A couple different ways you can also listen to the podcast. If you want, you can follow our podcast on our Facebook page. What's that page's name?
CreepGeeks Podcast.
What?
Yeah.
Shocking how hard it is to find the CreepGeeks Podcast. It's really not.
It's very clever.
Yeah, we're like, we should call it something that people will remember. We also have our Facebook group.
CreepGeeks Facebook.
Yes, and we have a website.
CreepGeeks.com.
Which has a contact form that you can fill out and leave a message if you'd like, because that's another way you can actually support the podcast is by, if you have a story or something you'd like to share with us, you can certainly do so. We have different avenues for that to actually happen, as in like our website.
And you can also
email.
call us.
And you can call us, because we have a phone number that you can call and leave a message.
And that phone number is 575-208-4025. And
Yes.
if the phone number doesn't do it for you, you can always just, like Greg said, email us. That's going to be contact@creepgeeks.com.
Yep.
So.
Or you can actually hit us up on Instagram if you want, because there's a direct message feature in there, and our Instagram page is pretty active, and it, lots of nice pictures of our adventures there as well. You know what our Instagram page is called?
CreepGeeks Pod?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, that might be Twitter, but we're there.
Yeah.
Or if you hit us up on Facebook, you can send us a direct message if you want to share something too. You can totally do that. If you'd like to share in the experience, well, actually having to do anything, as in you want to share the experience of the CreepGeeks Podcast by throwing your passive support, we have a way that you can do that with little to no effort at all. And what you do is the next time you go shopping on Amazon, use our link and you click it, and we'll get a small percentage. Doesn't change the price at all. Makes it pretty easy to support without actually having to do anything. And we would suggest that you do that, because coming up on Amazon Prime Day, which is what I think it's
July 15th?
I think it's July 15th.
Yep.
I probably should check beforehand. There's lots of things that are going to be on sale. Now, here's the thing. Got a little bit of an email from Amazon saying, hey, you should tell your people out there, since technically the CreepGeeks Podcast and the Cheap Geek channel are influencers for Amazon. And we're part of that little program where if you click the link and you buy something, we get a small percentage, which doesn't change your price at all. They were saying that if you should tell people that if they don't have Amazon Prime, that they can sign up for the free trial for Amazon Prime.
Oh, wow.
Take advantage of Amazon Prime Day, and if you'd like the service, keep it. If you don't, go ahead and cancel it. And I thought that was pretty nice, because you'd think that they'd say, we want you to keep your money, but they don't, because trust me, Amazon makes enough money off the stuff you buy anyway. But if you don't have Amazon Prime, get a free trial. And if you find some stuff you'd like to buy on Prime Day, which is supposed to be like a Amazon buying holiday thing, you should do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they say that, we could tell people to do that. So we're like, So there you go. If you don't have Amazon Prime, get the free trial, use it.
And we'll put links in the show notes for the, Prime Day.
Yeah.
And also, if you want right now, it's going to be amazon.com/shop/cheapgeek.
Yep.
So, yeah.
There you go. So as we start with most of our podcasts, we like to do a interesting random factoid. And this interesting random factoid is maybe it's I'm not trying to predict the future, but with the Storm Area 51 thing that we're going to talk about, it might be something that might be useful, right? So this particular interesting random factoid is going to be pre-honoring the Area 51 fallen. So, because we're looking at over 350,000+ people.
No, I am opening Facebook right now. It is 1.7 million going or interested, including 20 of my friends.
Okay. So as we honor 20 of Omi's fallen friends here.
Pre-fallen.
Pre-fallen. Yeah, there we go. Pre-fallen friends here. Because, they're going to go. I think it is. It should be. That's what they should play. So, and this kind of goes towards, if you're going to immortalize your pre-fallen Area 51, Storm Area 51 friends, and you want to erect a statue, there's a couple different ways you can do it. So, like, for example, if you see a statue in the park of a person who's on a horse, and both those front legs are in the air of the horse, that person died in battle.
Oh.
So that's one way to look at it. Now, if the horse has one front leg in the air, the person died as a result of wounds received in battle. And if the horse has all four legs on the ground, that person died of natural causes. Did you know that?
Okay.
So that's what that means when you see statues, right?
And there's
now,
a lot
if the
of those
horse is
statues.
laying down and the person is laying down with them, they died of the stupidity of trying to storm Area 51. So, if you don't want to erect a statue for these people, what you should do is just create a meme. Yeah.
A sleeping horse.
With a sleeping horse. So.
Oh, that's so bad.
So there you go. Those are your interesting random
create
factoids
memes with horses.
Yes.
Yeah. But that explains a lot, because I grew up in an area that had a lot of war monuments.
Well, yeah. We talked about that in the past, where if you go honor, veterans and that sort of thing, like the money that you see on tombstones actually means things. Like, I think if it's a silver dollar, I think I might be wrong on this. That means you were there when they died. That's so you're honoring them with, and then, like if it's a penny, you knew them. So there's different levels of. The money means things. Mm-hmm. So it's not just people putting a random change. It actually means, certain things.
Yeah.
So there you go. So there's your interesting random factoid so far for the CreepGeeks podcast, talking about how you can honor the pre-fallen. So, and you could probably play a Tom Petty song too. We won't play it because we're all about not getting popped for copyright here, because we have money. That's right. We have tens of followers, and it'd be terrible to get a huge bill or a huge fine for tens of. Actually, that's not true. We do have a lot more followers than that, but it is what it is. So we talked about Area 51 do's and don'ts in one episode.
Yeah.
Things that you can do and you probably shouldn't do if you're going to be at Area 51 at the gates where you can drive up and take pictures and things.
And that should be printed as a pamphlet. And
handed out.
It should be. It should totally. It should
crazy
be.
people.
It should be like whenever
As
you
a public
Google.
service from Geeks.
Heck yeah, we should probably do something like that.
Do that or get the law firm that bails people out.
Yeah, it's like, get the highway
Sponsor it.
lawyers, the lawyers you see on the highway, and have a whole list of them on the back, like if you're hurt, call Bert, kind of a thing. So, if you're in jail, call Mel, or whatever. I don't think I have anything to rhyme with jail, but
Oh my gosh.
So 2 podcasts ago, we did Area 51 do's and don'ts. Then we talked about the whole storm Area 51. I think it was only like 50,000 people. And now it's grown to 1.7 million. At the time that I wrote this podcast episode, it was only 300,000 people were going.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people are on the bandwagon. Let's just say, for example, that maybe 10% of these people actually have the testicular fortitude to actually go to Area 51 and hang out and try to storm Area 51.
Okay.
That would be bad, right? There'd be 1,700 people at a little desert gate, right, in the back of Area 51.
So 10% of 3 million is 300,000.
Well, yeah, but I thought you only said it was 1.7 million.
Sorry. Yeah.
So how much would that be? 1,700, like I said.
I know. But
math.
I was trying to do something else. So.
I did math.
I think it was because it's like 3 million people are following it. That's why.
Yeah. Well, that leaves basically we're looking at what? 2 million people like me going to be cracking open some popcorn, hoping that something happens. Because I know somebody's going to try to live stream.
What it means is there's going to be a really long line at the Stuckies they're meeting at.
Yeah. It's like, let's all meet up and, So.
Piggly Wiggly, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't. There's like it's like a little gas station thing where they want people to kind of meet up.
Yeah.
Oh, they want them to meet at the Area 51 Visitor Center.
Okay.
Oh, I thought it was a gas station.
It's
How many stalls? That's my point.
Yeah.
Stalls.
This is probably it's not going to be enough.
Where is it at?
Bag.
So pretty much enough people have shown interest in going to this whole Area 51 storm Area 51 event that the federal government has responded in kind.
Yeah.
So I think what happened was somebody whose job it is to do social media for the federal government was probably like, I wonder if I should go talk to the boss. So, it's like, hey, not for nothing, but we got a couple 100,000 people that are going to storm Area 51. And they're like, not a big deal. And he probably went back again and said 1.7 million people are interested in storming Area 51. And so it changed things, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
this says U.S. military ready to confront 600,000 alien hunters threatening to break into top secret base.
Yes. And so when they heard about over 500,000 people planning to storm the secret base, they have now basically said that we're ready to confront. Right. And the article, this came from the Independent, right? So it's the independent.co.uk.
Yeah.
Basically said the satirical event, which is organized on Facebook and is scheduled to take place on September 20th, which would be the perfect time for us to actually be there should we decide to plan. Actually, we could do this.
We're talking about
we have been asked on our Facebook presence and Instagram and stuff if we were going to be there. And we're like, no. But now that I'm thinking about it, there's a possibility we could probably be there.
With lawn chairs.
Oh.
Yeah, with lawn chairs and popcorn. So, and big floppy hats because of the sun. So this is supposed to happen on September 20th, right? And it appears to be a joke that has been given a high security and a highly guarded nature of the base is going to be a little bit problematic for the government because, see, people may be joking around, but there, I'm sure, will be a bunch of idiots that are just going to show up just to see what happens. And so it would be terrible, for example, for us to be there to see what's going to happen, and we wind up getting arrested just because we're there.
Yes.
We're like, we just wanted to see what was going to happen. And so it's supposed to be a satirical event, but, I think that's how it started. But what if 1,000 people showed up?
Well, and that what if has been addressed in an official statement from Laura McAndrews, who is an Air Force spokesperson, and they've released an official warning to potential trespassers. Area 51 is an open training range for the U.S. Air Force, and we would discourage anyone from trying to come into the area where we would train American armed forces. The U.S. Air Force always stands by, ready to protect America and its assets. but she failed to elaborate on specific details around how officials would react to potential intruders.
Yes, because you probably don't want, unlike the public event that Area 51 storm into Area 51 is, the government doesn't feel a need necessarily to give away their levels of, force protection. When do they escalate into different things, So, I don't know. So, it really depends on what you would think the level of protection should be. Is it going to be water cannons? Is it going to be mace? Is it going to be a crazy sort of sonic weapon that makes you, inadvertently shit your pants? The mythical brown note. Is it going to be? I mean, what? What's it going to actually be?
I don't know.
But I will say that one thing that all these people have going for them.
What?
The military typically does not respond with any force or force in kind unless the opposing party has done something. So you can't just go into battle and just start randomly shooting people. There has to be an engagement rule, and normally the engagement rule is that somebody has to shoot at you first, and then you get permission to defend yourself. In other words, you're going to have to throw the first blow. You storm into Area 51, guys.
Yeah.
So the first person who can Naruto run fast enough to go through the fence and actually get inside Area 51 is going to be the one that causes you to probably get your ass kicked by a government guard or a military person, or have some sort of.
Do we really think this is going to happen?
I think Bobby does. So, do you think it's going to happen, Bobby?
I think some people are going to show up. It could be 13, but some people are going to show up. Yeah.
So it's probably going to. You know what? I could see maybe 100, 150 people showing up. At the most.
But that's still a lot showing up. If it's one gate, that's a lot, and it's a problem.
Yeah, it is a problem.
They may be met by 160 guards, you know what I mean?
Or
personnel.
Or they might be met with 3 guards with full-blown magazine clips.
Yeah.
That's
or they may be stopping people half a mile away and saying,
Which is what I hope. I would hope that, they stop
all they'd really have to
further
do
away.
Would just be to close the road in and only set up like a roadblock and only allow certain people in. Like, if there's workers that have to go to the base, of course, they'd be allowed through. And you just pull up and the cops would just be like, turn it around.
Yeah.
Because how many of this 1.7 million people actually have all-wheel drive or all-terrain vehicles if the road is closed?
Probably a lot.
Really?
Well, we did.
Well, yeah, but we're like 2 people, and it's
well,
there's 1.7.
If you live in that area, I'm sure you got a pickup truck.
Of that 1.7 million, half of it is like 13-year-olds or 9-year-olds, and the other half might be millennials that don't have all-terrain or all-wheel drive,
or live on the East Coast.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's a nationwide thing.
All they got to do is catch a ride, right?
That's a lot of Craigslist ads looking for a ride.
It's really far away from the East Coast. It's 2,000 miles away from where we are.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Actually, it is. It's probably 2,122 miles.
Yeah,
I think.
So it's really far away. So start now. Start hitching now.
Start hitching a ride now.
So all you guys start saving your lunch monies if you're in school. Actually, no, nobody's in school right now. It's July. So when school starts, better make sure you got enough sick days.
Yeah, so I don't know if the dead or fish or somebody's on the road. You just kind of work that into your tour as you work your way west. We're going to cut off the fish
a little
tour.
sign, Area 51 or bust.
Area 51 or bust,
Yeah. So I like one of the organizer quotes is like, "We can move faster than their bullets. Let's see them aliens." I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to test that theory.
Now, who is this person or persons?
I don't know.
Whoever started the event.
They're on a list. I'm for sure about that.
Okay. So
I want to be their tax accountant.
I know, right?
Yeah. It's like we will all meet up at the Area 51 Alien Center tourist attraction and coordinate our entry.
2,206 miles to answer Bobby's question.
Really?
Well, what did I say? I think I said,
2,021. Yeah.
20. Wow. So close enough.
Yeah.
So. Because, if this is not like we talked about in the previous podcast where you can, it's like this long flat area and you can just drive up in like 150 RVs like they did in in Independence Day. It's not like that. There's like mountains all the way around, and where everybody goes, that back gate is like a road, and there's the gate. And you can turn around right there, But it's not like you can just drive up. It's like if you think that you're going to line up in a line that stretches, 1,000 people wide and just run at the gate, that's not what's going to happen. Because what you'd be doing effectively is be funneled into what they call a choke point, right, where all these people be funneled into a narrow area where people can just kill you to death if they need to.
Oh my gosh!
But I do, yeah. What I think is actually funny about this, or not necessarily funny, but there is some details that have been put out in the statement that came from the what was her name, Miss McAndrews, the public. What do you call them? PR
person.
lady. Yeah, the public relations. Is that she basically says that it's an open training range for the U.S. Air Force.
So that obviously means missiles, weapons, things like that.
Yeah, but they've classified this base as something different than what it actually used to be.
Oh. Yeah.
Now they're calling it an open training range for the U.S. Air Force, and we would discourage anyone from trying to go in the area where we train our American Armed Forces. Much like White Sands Missile Testing Range is an open training range.
Yeah.
Which means that the base is no longer designated what it used to be, which to me verifies that Area 51 is long gone.
And even if it wasn't, it would be by September 21st.
I know, yeah.
They would have moved it under cover of darkness.
Well, and I would think that, the government being the way the government is, all they have to really do is send somebody in a black suit to the person's house that set this whole thing up.
Yeah.
And says, you sure you want to do this? And then, the event goes away.
Except now it's kind of pretty viral.
Yeah, here's the thing.
1.7 million, whatever.
As far as sending a Men in Black type person to these people's house, I'm looking at the hosts of this event. You have one group, which is a gaming video creator.
Well, they're going to be easy to find. They just have to pop down to mom's basement.
Then you have a meme page.
The pasty ones.
Yeah. It's like they're going to drag the aliens out of the basement, right? The aliens are really green.
Kyle, the government's here to see you.
So,
but it's
he's punching holes in drywall on the way out. You'll never take me alive.
And then a meme page. But then the newest hosts added to this event are an actual event planner. Is
GoldenPalacecasino.com?
No.
An event planner. Right?
Yeah, an actual event planner that's been, I think they've done things like raves that are out there.
Oh, so they're just definitely trying to capitalize off the 1.7 million plus people who said they're going to go by saying, hey, we're going to plan this event so that we can get super popular.
Now they have.
Because, should you really be doing that? Should you really be trying to capitalize on something like this to gain notoriety and fame and maybe talk about it in 3 podcasts so far? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
which we have.
They've just aggregated 1.7 million email addresses for their rave event. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure that if the government called up Eventbrite or somebody like that who plans events and goes, hey, do you mind if they're like, absolutely, you can have all these email addresses. We don't care. Or they would say, well, if you'd like to sign up for our emailing list, we'll give you all the information you need.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know if it would be ethical for us to go ahead and, make a bet about how many people get killed to death at Area 51 or not. So... the funny thing would be if they just hung up a sign that said "Come on in."
Oh.
It's like, hey, come tour the base today, and then you show up, and it's like 5 warehouses and a couple old oil drums and a couple sad-looking civilian contractor people going.
Have some government cheese.
And
milk.
They got some security. They got some security contractors sitting there, and they're like, the reason why we actually have to be here in this freaking heat in the desert is because of dipshits like you that want to keep going up to the sign, and so we always have to go. All we're trying to do is just, we're security guards, and we wouldn't have to be here at all if it wasn't for you guys. And then so basically they get guilted into going away. Or even better, they get them all in there and then arrest them all.
That's so bad.
So, but if they opened up the gates, I'd go in there. But, I was in the military. So
I think we should take bets or start like some sort of poll, like how many people you think
poll.
are going to show up.
Yeah.
Not, carnage or violence, but how many people.
Well, we'd have to lock the poll down to make sure that nobody adds one. Because you know how when we make polls and we never lock it off, where it's like add your little thing, and you're like, how many people get killed to death at Area 51? So.
I don't know. I want to say at least 30 people.
What, get killed?
Show up.
Oh.
No.
I'm like, that's a low number. Because there's all these memes out there. Like one of them was the Warthog. Yeah. It's one of my favorite aircraft ever. It's like, they talk about Area 51, and it's like the Warthog laughs and Burt.
Yeah.
Because the Vulcan Gatling gun on the front of that thing, machine gun, like.
How many do you think
would show up?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the number's going to keep going up. Let's face it.
Yeah.
If it's, was that on Mysterious Universe? That post?
No, this is actually directly from the Facebook page.
Yeah, so it's from the actual event.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to say 75 at least, because you got local people, and there ain't a whole lot to do there because there's not a lot there actually. Yeah. So I think some local people are going to show up. I think any kid.
100?
Any kid with a car.
All right. I'm going to price this right. No, I'm going to price this right, the both of you. 101.
Oh.
That's not how this works. So, 101.
Or 76.
So I thought you were going to say I'm going to price this right this and go $1. I'm like, well, you've already lost. I've seen people do that on the Price is Right. They get the $1 thing wrong. Everybody bid like $1,000 and stuff, and it was obviously more than $1,000. And the guy was like, $1. And Bob Barker just looked at him and says, "You don't know how this works, And it was like 1,046. So the person that bid $1,000.
You don't get out much, do you, buddy?
It's like, no. It's like I got it all figured out.
So the government's been warning people, don't go to Area 51.
Well, yeah.
And then our next article is UFO experts warn people against trying to contact aliens.
Yeah, because I figured as a public service announcement for this particular episode, because it is information based. That's why Bobby is here to explain, like the basically UFO Super Bowl event, which we want to go to. I should be responsible and put articles in here to kind of let people know, things like how we're going to pre-honor you with statues if you do get killed to death, what they actually mean, and to let you know that the U.S. military is like, just don't do this, And now, this other article I seen that I believe came from Mysterious Universe does talk about, this UFO experts like, don't contact, or stop trying to contact UFOs because, and I like the way he put this because I think a lot of this stuff that we talk about and that we all like, Bigfoots, cryptids, all that kind of stuff, has been sort of marginalized for what you see on TV. To where like, oh, these guys are going to be great. They're going to be friendly. I'm going to give Bigfoot a hug. And I'm not wired that way. I'm like, if I'm an animal in the woods and you come up to me, especially if I'm Sasquatch, I'm probably going to rip your arm off and stuff you in a tree somewhere. Right?
Yeah.
Because think about what happened back when the $6 million man, Steve Austin, met Bigfoot. He actually ripped Bigfoot's arm completely off. And when I was a kid, I was freaking shocked that Bigfoot was a robot. Remember that? Did you ever see that?
I missed that one.
Oh, man. It was like...
See, I would think,
it was the biggest, what? So, but this guy is warning that you shouldn't try to contact aliens because they may not be nice.
And this guy is a UFO abduction expert and former CIA operative, Daryl Sims. He's warning humans against trying to contact aliens. And he claimed that if we attempt to contact extraterrestrials, we could end up getting physically injured or even dying since aliens are malevolent beings.
Yeah.
Daryl Sims is one of the speakers that.
Oh my gosh!
Whoa! So he is an expert.
Yeah.
If I'd have known, I'd have gone to his presentation. That's.
He probably has alien contact do's and don'ts. Do take a picture from a distance. Don't try to summon an alien.
Well,
just like you should have your Area 51.
Maybe we should. I'll turn it into a PDF, and people can basically print it. You can email it to all your Storm to Area 51 friends, and maybe laminate it. So,
and then you can aggregate 1.7 million
as a public service pocket guide. It's like download your free Area 51 pocket guide.
Now on his website, Alien Hunter, and I guess he probably talked about this at Contact on the in the desert. He's talked about his first alien encounter in 1952 when he was just 4 years old.
Wow.
He explained that an extraterrestrial showed up in his bedroom and attempted to alter his mind into thinking it was a clown.
Yes.
Yeah. And he believes that aliens were trying to modify his memories so he wouldn't remember what was happening to him. And he wrote, I know inside he wants me to remember this as a bad dream of a clown. Years later, Sims became a husband and father, and he realized that extraterrestrials had attempted to make contact with his 6-year-old son, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but...
The family connection.
Yeah, which we hear about in those UFO encounters.
Yeah.
So he's basically saying here that they're malevolent in nature.
Well, in his blurb for the speakers at Contact, he said Daryl made the decision he would no longer willingly be victim to the bizarre quests of alien entities. He was determined to change his role of life from being the hunted to the hunter.
Oh.
Hence the alien hunter.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he has an agenda with telling people not to contact aliens.
And he's claiming that some people have done that and they've died as a result, and some people have been injured, some people, their lives have been destroyed by contacting aliens.
Well, yeah, and it kind of makes sense because there's a whole bunch of people who have been abducted or whatever who have had not so pleasant of an experience.
And their lives get destroyed. I mean, Travis Walton, who was also at Contact in the Desert, I mean, for a while there, his life was...
Absolutely.
Well, his life became better once he embraced it and
That's
realized
true.
that if he just talked about it, that he could make a little bit of a living off of it. So, because he wasn't making a living really before.
That's true.
So I guess he said, and this kind of reminds me of a Saturday Night Live skit we watched where basically these people talk about being abducted, and you've got like a dude and his girlfriend and then this crazy housewife lady.
Yeah.
And they're like, it was great. They embraced us with the light and love and all this stuff. And she's like, where did you get abducted? Because she got dropped on a roof with her pants on backwards and no shirt. You know, and it was just funny. And she's like, well, let me tell you, I didn't have nearly the fun that you did, you know. And it kind of goes back to, like, I don't necessarily think that Bigfoot is a nice guy. I think if it exists at all, it's probably a wild animal who's not going to let you come up and give it a hug. I don't think if UFOs exist that they're nice. I think that, you know, why would they be? They have things to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's kind of the way I look at it. So being nice to you is probably not one of them, because almost every abduction scenario or situation I've heard usually involves some kind of medical experimentation and being put in a position where it's not so quite, you know, comfortable in some of the probings that go on.
Yeah.
So why would you think that these things are like love and light? But a lot of people do. A lot of people are like, well, they took me on and they showed me this and they did that.
They told me we're hurting Mother Earth, you know.
Yeah, and we're here to help you protect the planet and all this crazy stuff. And maybe that's the case. Maybe that does happen. But it seems like it's, in some cases, almost 50-50, where you hear the good, you hear the bad, and then you hear the love and light stuff. And I don't know. Because who's to say that these things don't have an ulterior motive of some kind? You know? You know? Yeah. I mean, it could all be the government, you know, experimental craft and experimenting on the populace for whatever reason. Could be aliens, could be time travelers, could be interdimensional beings or whatever. I don't know. I just don't think that they would show up and go, hey, guy, treat the planet right. You know? Why would they just pick random people? And some of the people we've seen that have, you know, sort of admitted that they've been abducted or whatever don't look like they would be the person that you'd want to pick. I look at the whole love and light thing as like, okay, if you are going to try to change the destiny of humankind, you probably want to grab somebody in a position of power.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Not some dude who, you know, lives all by himself in the woods and, you know what I'm saying?
There's some very weak arguments towards that, in the sense that, well, aliens, since they can see the future and they can see the grand plan or grand design of things, that one person can change the world
like
through
that
a
one
ripple
person
effect or whatever.
Who, got drunk and slammed his hand in the car door and lost his fingertip, who drove to an emergency room, met this other person.
Yeah, and
who was sitting on the bench because they got a bicycle sprocket in the knee. And, and then from that ripple effect.
That butterfly effect, I don't think is being executed well. Because in the end, you do not have these people.
You would have to have a crazy quantum computer to even go through all the probabilities to be able to sort of come across that decision,
Yeah.
or sort of that course of action to take to go back and get Bobby, who lived out in the desert, and say he's the one. We need to influence him by probing him for a while, so that when he cuts his finger off in the car door because he's been drinking, trying to forget about it all, then he'll go talk to somebody with a bicycle sprocket in the knee at the emergency room 175 miles away and change the course of human history or destiny or whatever it is. I don't know.
I think it's all very the alien scenarios where people do reach out, or the aliens reach out and give a message to humanity.
Yeah, they're either good or bad.
Yeah, it's either extremely love and light or extremely ominous. But then you have the rest of the encounters, which I'm more interested in, which seem to be that clinical, almost assembly line medical examination, like when scientists and zoologists go out and trap wildlife and tag them, tag them, check them, release.
Interesting, not according to Ray Hernandez with his organization. He had I was just listening to an interview with him. He had 2,600 returned questionnaires.
Yeah.
And the vast majority were positive experiences.
Really?
I saw his presentation. It was really astounding.
Well, maybe that's what they do, though. Maybe you get abducted or whatever, and they make you feel like you're having a great time.
I mean,
like when you get your wisdom teeth pulled.
If you go, wait a minute, my pants are on backwards and they drop me on the roof. That's not going to. You can't really put a spin on that.
But
that
you can feel good about it. Like, I feel pretty good. That's
I
great.
feel used.
Yeah.
But it was really surprising to hear his presentation. He's going to be at the Alien Expo in Knoxville.
Really?
He'll probably
wow.
doing the exact same presentation. But,
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we have noticed.
What?
That a lot of people that you would go see at an expo or convention are on a circuit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
They do the same spiel, same down to the same joke.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be the
and
same.
why change it, right? If it works,
Yeah.
because they're playing the odds. They're like, odds are, these people here have never seen me, somewhere else.
That was 1,500 miles away and 3 months ago, and
Yeah.
it'll be But then you do it for a year, like a stand-up comic. You have your bit, you work it for a year, then you go back do some research, and come back and do it.
Played Albuquerque. It was a tough crowd, right?
Yeah. Like it'll be, who's going to do it next year? They have to come up with a different, thought, a different presentation. So,
and we sort of ran across that when we seen the Navajo Rangers talk, and they did a nice 2.5 hour presentation roughly. And then I've seen a YouTube video, and this was 2017.
Yeah.
I seen a YouTube video that they did in Scotland, I think from 2012, and it was the same thing.
Yeah, well, then some people just milking
I was like, I know what's going to happen. next.
But a lot of these people are pros, and they've got. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So they got to come up with something. Even some people's stories grow over time.
A little embellishment, maybe.
Well, whatever. But you
let's
got
just say,
you need to come up with something. New.
Memories get a little fuzzy. Recollection changes over time.
Yeah. But even Travis Walton mentioned he had an awareness of that. He completely reframed his experience from a negative one to the fact that he was dumb enough to touch this thing. It almost killed him, and they tried to save him.
See? Now, if you've listened to one of our previous podcasts where we talk about the Brown Mountain Lights and the way we can experiment with the Brown Mountain Lights is a hot dog on a stick.
Yes.
Right.
So you're saying Travis Walton wouldn't be where he is today?
Into the portal.
Well, yeah, had he had a hot dog on the end of a stick and he put that hot dog in there, he probably wouldn't have had the experience that he had.
But he'd still be working as a logger, too. So.
Yeah, but maybe he owned a logging company.
Oh, okay.
You never know. Because then he could have been on a show like Axemen or Swamp Loggers or something like that. That was a show that fascinated me, the Swamp Logger show.
Oh,
yeah, because it was in North Carolina. But see, hot dog on a stick. So if you're out there and you ever have, that's the two things you should carry on an investigation.
Okay.
Because think about it like this. You run into Sasquatch, and Sasquatch yells at you and uses its infrasound and, shakes you to your core and it starts to step at you. If you had a hot dog on a stick, you could probably fling it really hard and whip that hot dog at him. And he might either A, run off because you flung a hot dog at him. He doesn't know what kind of psychopath does that. Or maybe he wants the hot dog. Or maybe he's never seen a hot dog before. You never know. So, because I know if you whip a hot dog at a dog, he's probably going to go after the hot dog.
You have a friend for life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or you may have bought yourself some time to shimmy your fat ass over a chain link fence, right? So there you go. If you're an investigator and you're a burgeoning investigator and you want to get a better handle on this stuff, two things you should carry: a stick and a hot dog.
Hot dog.
Yeah,
Probably
in a Ziploc bag.
for safety. a 6-pack of hot dog.
Yeah.
8-pack.
Well, there you go.
They
Just
come?
carry the whole pack of hot dogs.
Yeah, bring a whole pack of hot dogs.
But however, make sure to take the hot dog pack out of your pack, or at least put it in a Ziploc bag, because nobody wants hot dog water in the bottom of their backpack.
And the bears will
You're just
kill
killing
you before Bigfoot does.
There you go. So you got your hot dog water dribbling slowly out of your backpack, creating a breadcrumb trail for the grizzly bear out in the woods. He's like, you smell that? So it's like these little drips of hot dog water.
And then it's
you turn around, there's like
versus
17.
Grizzly with you. They're fighting over your hot dogs.
Fighting over you, and you're like, oh, man. So you're going to whip hot dogs at them. So...
No.
And so there you go. Hot dog on a stick is something you need. Probably a Ziploc bag. Maybe keep
Add
it
that
safe.
to your kit.
Yeah,
that you're going to sell.
I would do that. I will add that to a list of things to bring
Stick.
on investigations.
I think we're making
Stick, hot dog. They actually have. They have these little. They look like a spear fork that is retractable.
Oh, that's.
Like the antenna, almost like a selfie stick, except it's got a little fork on the end of it, so you could basically pack it down real light, so it doesn't,
real
really,
far away from Bigfoot.
we're
and you
gonna
can extend it. You know what I'm saying?
We're gonna post that like tomorrow on Amazon as our UFO hunting tool.
Yeah. So if you click on the link, you can come across the hot dog on a stick. So.
They get the Amazon pantry for the hot dogs.
Oh, that's true.
And, then you can
And
use,
if you do the
if you
Whole
live in
Foods,
Amazon
that's
now,
right. Yes, yeah.
you can get organic hot dogs.
Yeah.
Right.
and you can do the Whole
Do they
Foods
deliver
thing. where
to
they
Area
give you-
51 gate?
That's a good question.
See, that's what would suck. Can you imagine being the pizza guy that gets that phone call? Because you probably get one of these security guards that's like, man, I'm hungry. And so he calls to get a pizza.
Oh, man.
And he's like, yeah, really, you want me to go to Area 51 again and bring a pizza? Because, how many people have prank called that? You know what I mean? So the guy shows up and he's like really? And the gate guard's like, I didn't order a pizza, dude. I'm on watch. I can't eat a pizza on watch. He's like, again? So he tries to slide the pizza under the chain link fence kind of thing. And the guy's like, waiting for his hand to go under.
This pizza is now government property.
Yeah.
And
We're going to have to claim this
keep it as
pizza.
evidence. Yeah, we're going to tag it and put it in the
Rifles through
kitchen.
it. Flicking pepperonis to the groundhogs out there, prairie dogs.
Scan it for radiation.
It's like, you're not allowed to bring a pizza on a government facility.
Funny.
Crazy. All right, so I think at this point we're going to transition into talking about contact in the desert. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast.
The goal of M&D Paranormal is to compassionately, knowledgeably, and professionally support and offer paranormal services to those who have been affected by a paranormal experience, including those who have been indirectly affected. Services provided include paranormal investigation, property research, and evidence review of residential, business, and private property locations. Cleansing of these properties are available upon request. No matter the circumstances of the paranormal experience, M&D Paranormal strive to offer a non-judgmental environment to promote education, open communication, and empathy to each individual that chooses to share their experience or come into our service. In achieving this goal, M&D Paranormal is building and bringing together a community of open and like-minded individuals by offering free monthly gatherings and events at the Shop Eclectic, 49 State Street, Marion, North Carolina. Call us anytime at 828-484-1637 or 828-559-2818 or email us at mndparanormal@gmail.com.
And we're back. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Making sure we're all here. Yes. Get a little closer to the microphone. Microphony. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Bobby is here, and Bobby recently had an adventure. Okay, we're talking Bobby B, Asheville. Or I keep saying Asheville Past Lives. It's more like Past Lives Project and Past Lives guy. He's sort of branched out and is doing his thing. It's very, very nice. One of the things we talked about before he decided to take off and go on this adventure was the fact that he was going to take off and go on this adventure and do contact in the desert. And the funny thing was that he brought that up, that he was going to go. I was like, man, why didn't we do that? We had every opportunity in the world to go do it. It just never occurred to us that, hey, we should go back out there and do that. I mean, everybody has things going on. But what contact in the desert is like the Super Bowl of paranormal / UFO / cryptid stuff. It's mainly UFO driven, or aliens, spaceships, all that kind of sort of thing. But you do have a flavor, a little mixture of cryptids and stuff like that. And it's done in the desert, and you have like the stars of all of this stuff. Like the guy from Ancient Aliens with the crazy hair. You would see him there. Yeah, Georgie Tsoukalos. That guy, right? So these people are there, and you've got like Linda Moulton Howe, and this is where George Norrie goes, and all, and whoever the sort of the top tier of these people are there.
Eric Von Daniken.
Yeah,
You can absolutely see who has a television presence and a following as a result of their television presence.
Yeah.
Georgie and David Wilcock were stars. George Norrie is a
he's a star.
out there. Yeah.
He's a star because of Art Bell. Let's not forget that.
But he was also a great. They do panels where a bunch of people, like there's 6 or 7 people up there, and he was the host, and he was just fantastic. He was just so fun to watch. Really, really good.
Wow, Ben Hansen from Fact or Faked.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, what this actually is a paid event where you can go see these people speak and presentate and talk about all that stuff. And we actually have a catalog, the schedule of events. I'll be right back. And it's like a catalog. Really.
Yeah, it really is.
So, and this is one of these things where you're not going to pay $12 and get in the door. It's like, $250, $300 a ticket, and depending on what you do. So this is like a big deal. This is like the San Diego Comic-Con of UFO stuff. If you're familiar with it. Because there's lots of Comic-Cons out there, but I don't think any of them are as big as the San Diego Comic-Con. That's like the one that's serious business.
This is pretty big, but it's not Comic-Con big. But
still, as far as UFO and paranormal stuff goes, it is.
This is one of the biggest things.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything.
And they said they had 4,000 people show up this year, so that's
a lot.
And it looked like that. That's when you were trying to get from one presentation to the other. It looked really crowded.
It's like an airport in there.
Yeah, it really was.
Like
especially on it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and like a lot of people probably came out from L.A. or Phoenix on Saturday,
kind of drove out
Sunday, and because you could just get a 1-day pass or a 3-day pass, and
a congressman showed up.
People. Yeah.
Wow.
It was exhausting. It was expensive. It was challenging, and it was fascinating. It was really all of the above.
So it was almost like a festival.
It definitely had that, because after by the third day you're pretty punch drunk. The first day I saw 5 2-hour presentations. It was just between 9 and 7 p.m.
Wow,
it was there was a lot to absorb, and then you come back the next day and you do it again, and then you do it again for the third day, and then the fourth day is intensives, so you can come back after the concert, after the you see, I said festival,
after the concert festival.
After the conference is over, and then there's you can do an intensive with some of the superstars up there, where they do another 3-hour presentation.
Wow!
So you could literally spend over the course of the weekend 7 hours listening to people. Some of these people had to have 3 full different presentations, like David Wilcock and Richard Dolan and people like that.
Wow!
3 different topics that they had to be able to talk about for 2 hours with slides and everything else. So again, a lot of work on their part. But it was astounding to watch.
I'm looking at like the David Wilcock and then the Whitley Stribers. And like it'll be a 2-hour presentation, and then the additional workshop is another 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a lot.
So this is pretty serious business.
I mean, can you imagine like not just like paranormal, but anything like a college class even? It would be a 2-hour lecture. Mm-hmm. But then
with a full deck,
and then having to take an additional 2-hour lecture on the same.
But also, it was like $270 for the ticket, and then the workshops were extra, and then the intensives were extra.
Oh wow!
So you can literally double the price of your ticket just by watching
one workshop
if you really
or one person.
And I'm sure people like David Wilcock, again, the TV people, they probably got people to go and see a second and maybe even a third presentation with them. So it's a lot of work.
But I'm also looking at that, like you could have spent over almost 7 hours just on one person.
Yes, absolutely.
I know you said you were really excited to see Jacques Vallée.
Yeah. He only had the one presentation. Yeah. Oh, he was on a panel on something else.
Which one did you spend the most time?
It's like a little catalog inside a catalog.
I think it just got sticky. Oh, okay.
Well,
I at that point it was just like I had to pick I had to see as many people as I didn't do any of the workshops. The only person whose workshop I was really drawn to was there's I think it's a Paiute elder. Clifford Mahudi.
Yeah, I saw him. He's Zuni in Pueblo.
Zuni. Yeah, he was fantastic, absolutely. And he had a workshop that they scheduled at 7:45 on Sunday morning.
Oh my gosh!
That's like on the third day of the by that time, I was just like, I'm not going to set my alarm for 6 o'clock so I can get up. And, you know what I mean? It was just like, and then spend because that was valet day from 2 to 4, so I wanted to be fresh for that. So it was like it was crazy. You had almost have to stay at the resort, and if I came downstairs for 7:45, it'd be different than getting from my hotel back there, even 10 miles away, whatever it was.
This is not a paranormal or podcasty type question, but considering those types of schedules, did you see people like in their pajamas or?
No, because it was a very high class resort.
Okay.
So it's at a resort.
So
it was interesting. It was also at a resort, so we were mingling. The 4,000.
Clyde Lewis was there.
Yeah.
We're mingling with golfers and their kids at the pool, because it's just a regular resort in the Palm Desert. I just got a email for Contact 2020, and they said that they rented the entire resort for the weekend this time.
Wow.
So it's just going to be all.
So wear your nicest Hawaiian
total
shirt.
marination. And,
Yeah. But,
so that's going to be different. It'll be like, okay, it's because it was weird just having normal people around when you were crossing them. They were just hanging out at the pool, and we're going from dark room to dark room, and passing through the light for a brief period.
is this the type of event where you would see people dressed up as aliens?
There were not many. There was a few people in like uniforms, like more like Starfleet uniform type things. But very little of that. The two things that I really liked were that there wasn't that much, and almost 50% female attendees.
Really?
It was really, really impressive. It was like a lot of couples. And a lot of women. Also, when I realized, and I looked at the schedule, a lot of female presenters.
That's amazing.
So a lot of female presenters have a female, Linda Moulton Howe's one of the, Mary Rodwell.
Yeah.
Are very, very highly regarded
researchers.
Yeah. And then there are people who are very popular, like Laura Eisenhower has a huge following.
Yeah.
Carolyn Corey, who's one of the people I saw, she said that was her 6th appearance at Contact in the Desert.
Wow.
So, and then she was in, there were 6 different rooms going on every hour. Every 2 hours,
I looked at the schedule.
Choices.
Yeah.
So you had to choose between the two. And anyways, and there were there were 2 huge rooms with like multi-hundred people, like the one David Wilcock. And it was probably 400 or 500 people.
Wow.
And then there was a second one in a different building where you had to walk by the pool and go out in the sun for a little bit. And that was probably a 300 or 400 seat hall, auditorium, and like Carolyn Corey was in that.
Yeah.
So after a while, Clifford Mahudi said, he was so glad that they gave him the big room because I was in a closet last year. Because some of the rooms are really small. Like, there's probably only like 50 people.
Yeah. But like you were pointing out, the fact that there were more women presenters and like a even distribution of attendees as far
almost
as
50-50. Yeah.
And we were talking off the podcast about how I've noticed that in the different communities, like with cryptozoology, it tends to be primarily male. In some of the paranormal and ghost hunting groups, it's either much younger people or couples, things like that. So with UFOs, it's really cool that it seems to be both genders, or both women and men enjoy UFOs and are passionate about them, and you have just as many women recognized for their efforts as men.
Absolutely.
So that's really cool.
And also, it's the TV. A lot of people had TV shows.
Yeah.
So you're going to have an audience of people that have seen, like somebody said, David Wilcock had 200 something episodes on Gaia. I had no idea how big. I cut the cord a couple of years ago when I moved here, so I don't really know. But but a lot of these, I think their audience is probably 50-50.
Wow.
And then David Wilcock's wife was doing presentations also, and there was a lot of female-oriented, spiritually kind of
based
guided,
stuff.
Presentations. So you could, I got to hang out with a local from in the area who was her second year there, and she was a single woman that went and attended a whole bunch of workshops, and the intensives the next day. So,
and I'm looking at some of these lectures and workshop names, and it's like, wow, like David Childress, megalithic structures around the world and on the moon. Laura Eisenhower, which you just mentioned, which I would actually go to this because it's kind of nerdy rock geology stuff. It's entering the silicate matrix.
Was that her workshop?
That was one of hers. It was one of her lectures.
Oh,
yeah.
I lasted 15 minutes.
Because
I was like, it was like 12 men there.
Yeah.
I think I skewed the statistics by showing up.
But then you have things like, Jacques Vallée, a global phenomenon.
Jacques Vallée?
Jacques Vallée.
Hey, Marquez.
So shut up. A global phenomenon, recent close encounters in Europe and Latin America, Linda Moulton Howe, mysterious childhood, out of body travel. These are amazing.
Yeah, But those were going on at the same time. I had to choose between one and the other. But what they did do is they were filming and recording each event, and then you could go and buy I guess it was a download or some form of that presentation. If you went to one, if I went to see Jacques Vallée, I could have gone and bought Lynn Moulton Howe's presentation, and then taken that home and watched it if I wanted to.
So, let's back up on that.
That explains a lot. Like when we do these conventions and stuff like that, and we ask them, hey, would it be okay if if we like interview people or stream, maybe part of the event, and they're all like, no. Yeah. Oh no, they were absolutely no recording was. They were very adamant about that, but they were recording it from, filmed and recorded from they had one art AV guy or woman at the back of the room, so they had a copy of the presentation that they would. And I'm surprised. I expected those to show up online, but they seem to be just on the day of. Like at the present, I haven't heard anything about.
So that would be some feedback, or a dislike possibly, in the sense that, because I would be upset a little bit. I mean, if I wanted to see Linda Moulton Howe, but I also wanted to see Tsoukalos at the same time.
Yeah.
How much were you paying to see that missed lecture or missed workshop?
I didn't know what the charges were. Yeah, I went to see Richard Dolan.
Yeah,
but I had to not see. Mary Wadwell, and I think Eric Von Daniken was. It was like, Jesus, you literally have to flip a coin.
So
you got
to pick your poison.
Yeah. And as I was writing up my notes for my Past Lives Guy blog, I was like, why did I make? How come I went? I was second guessing my own choices. Like, duh, I could have seen, but the people I saw were just, like Richard Dolan did a thing about AI. It was not about UFOs or anything.
Oh, that's
else.
cool.
It was absolutely terrifying. it was freaking people out because it was so dark, but it was pretty well put together.
Forbidden archaeology panel. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Oh, and then in addition to 4 or 5 presentations, there was a panel every couple hours with 6 or 7 superstars up there.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh my God, it's like I went to see one, so I got to see like Whitley Strieber and a couple other people on the panel, and that was the one that George Norrie hosted, and he was fantastic.
Yeah.
He was just what a pro, and kept it moving, and the question and the other thing was every single presentation and panel had at least 15 minutes for audience questions.
That's nice.
So almost every single person there, even Jacques Vallée, you got to come up. They had a microphone, and you got to come up and ask a question. And some of the questions were great, and some of the people you just wanted to beat to death because they were talking for 5 minutes about their experiences. It's, they almost needed to be moderated at that point.
See, and that's what I hate. I personally hate what I call stupid question hour.
Oh, yeah, but
and I really hated it, and this is a little bit different, but I hated it when I was in boot camp in the Navy because it's long days and you're ready, it's late. It's like 7 o'clock and you're ready to go to bed because you've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning. And then they get down to the very end of the day and they explain it all, what's going to happen for the next day. And they say, okay, does anybody have any questions? And there's always that one moron that basically raises her hand and basically regurgitate the question that has already been asked in the very beginning, so that the dude has to start over again because this moron didn't pay attention. I used to call that stupid question hours. Like, shut up, man.
So imagine that with UFO people.
Yeah, and see,
consider the possibilities of the people given a free mic and a chance to talk to Graham Hancock or Nick Pope or John Ballet.
Yeah,
and this is their one chance at
and they ask the most
their abduction story,
pedestrian question.
Yes, or no, or they'll just talk. And it's just like,
that's even worse because then you don't even know what they're talking about.
Exactly, like totally, yeah. And
in fact, there was
more than one presentation that was the time. Like it was a 2-hour time slot, so you had 15 minutes to do your high school, hallway.
Go between classes,
building and building. Yeah. So it was like, okay, when it became stupid question hour, I'm going to go to the bathroom and go to the next presentation and grab a seat.
And all of these panel talks are ones that I would just dread stupid question hour. I mean, like the topics involve like secret space program and disclosure or the best evidence ancient aliens.
Yeah.
I can just imagine some of the good and bad questions
Yes,
asked
yeah,
at these.
and like the panels were easier because you had either.
And the funny thing is, if people are listening right now, if you're mad that we're talking about like stupid question hour, and you're not mad, like you're mad at what we're saying about that, it's probably you that we're talking about. I just thought of that. I'm like, somebody right now was like, well, people have every right to ask questions. And I'm like, that's you, guy. You are the one that we're talking about.
But it worked better with the panels because you had George Norrie or somebody who was hosting, and then he would he would point the question at somebody or something like that.
Yeah,
in
could
the
make it
individual
happen.
presentations, they just gave a mic to the first person there, and those literally needed to be moderated. You needed to have a somebody with a 45-second timer on their phone. Like, okay, you have 45 seconds to ask a question because it was 10 people and you only have 15 minutes. So if you talk for 2 minutes, you're cheating the people at the end of the line. And they got to roll the room. There's like 15 minutes, and then there's another.
We actually
200 people coming in at this same room.
Yeah, and I would respect that. I would respect them to basically be like, I'm sorry I have to cut you off, but we're on it.
But
we're at a hard stop here.
It was up to the presenter and do it.
Yeah.
And to do that, and it didn't always work.
So
they really needed. That was the one. But in American Idol culture, the audience is a part of the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest with you, at $200+ a ticket, I want to be a part of it too.
Yeah,
that's true.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
And I mean, how often do you get a chance to ask a question to some of these people?
So $200 is the ticket just to get in, or $270 was the ticket just to get in.
Good Lord!
And then you had to pick these lectures. You didn't have to pay for the lectures, did you?
The regular.
But if you wanted the
workshops were extra. And the workshops were all. So then, at certain points, like on Saturday, you had 4 presentations to see, 4 new presentations, and then 1 workshop from somebody that you saw yesterday, and then a panel with a whole bunch of the superstars from yesterday, all going on at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was like, man, I really, you could almost do the whole thing, the whole weekend again, and see a completely different schedule.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It was almost, that was the too much part. Like I at one point I was looking at my notes. It was the 3 different people going on at the same time that I couldn't believe it. It was Graham Hancock, Nick Pope, and Mary Rodwell.
Oh,
so who do you pick?
I went to see Graham Hancock.
There you go.
Fantastic presentation. He was amazing.
That's
really,
who I would have
really
picked.
Fascinating. But I would have loved to see Mary Rodwell's presentation. And Nick Pope was always interesting to watch. It was Eric Von Daniken or Clifford Mohoody. Who's it? Peter Lavenda, Whitley Strieber, or Linda Moulton Howell at the same time.
Yeah, I saw that one. That was the one that made me mad.
Like, that's not even toss a coin. You really got to dig deep and decide.
And if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't listened to like Coast to Coast AM for years, you probably don't know half the people talking about.
There's this one block,
which is kind of funny because I do, and I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
and I'm sure
exactly,
some people.
And there are people in that program I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
A bunch of people like, with full presentations, like I don't even know who this. I didn't know who
And they're
Daryl
probably
Sims
like,
was.
"Who are you here to see, Bobby?" And you're like, "Well, I'm here to see Whitley Strieber." And they're like, "Oh, and who are you?" And they like say something, and you're like, "Who is that?" And they're like, "Oh, you're one of those guys. You're one of the, okay. So you're not a true fan."
But then there's the Gaia people, the Gaia network people, and the ancient aliens. Whatever that
History Channel.
people.
Yeah.
And then there's the the nerds going to see. I flew across to see like Jacques Vallée. Like how many more times is Whitley Strieber going to be doing a presentation?
So you got the radio nerds.
And then the late night radio nerds, and then the Gaia TV nerds. The premium channel nerds.
Yeah, the
and
$9 a month guys.
And then the basic cable guys with
the basic cable nerds, and they're all getting together. And I'm sure in between all that mix are like the ultra nerds that are like, I can't talk to you because you're not worth my time, because you can't speak in great and agonizing detail about some obscure thing you've never heard of before. And then on top of that, I'm sure you got the other people that are there that are just like, they look at you as like when you go to a concert and you're a huge fan, like say Pink Floyd or something, every single song, and you're standing next to somebody who's like, yeah, I like that song, Comfortably Numb. Yeah. And you're like, okay. Or, going to see The Who, and you're like, yeah, I like that song, Teenage Wasteland. And you're like, what? You mean Baba Ryan? Okay, all right, yeah.
Now, is there anything from
Wait, did you see any fights?
Yeah.
I mean, like
fist fights, like anger, aggression, like, world star, like hip-hop type fights.
These are UFO people,
These are like UFO nerds?
So,
peace, love, and light.
With these
not
UFO
everybody's,
nerds, did
friendly.
you see any
Because I
heated
could see
debates?
them fight. Yeah, there you go. I could see a heated debate turning into,
No, not
like
really. Everybody was
fisticuffs.
very... But then again, I avoided certain, like Emery Smith. I didn't really want us to see, and there were certain people. I mean, you could pick your poison. Like I said, I lasted 15 minutes at Laura Eisenhower's presentation. I just went, my head's going to explode if I stick around, and I went elsewhere. But by Sunday, people were kind of going, catching like a half hour of one and then an hour of another, because you were just so burned out at that point. You got tired of making choices.
Okay, so it was 3 days?
Yeah, 3 days.
Three days.
Well, 3 days, and then the
third day is like
the
the intensive.
To do the Giant Rock Integratron tour, which was a bucket list item for me.
Oh, wow.
One of my favorite things to do. And then there was a 5th day, which is the day after, which was the intensives, to see a third 3-hour presentation with various people, the superstars again.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Yeah. So I was there for 4 days.
Okay.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was very, very intense. But I mean, like
I'd be so
the first
overwhelmed.
Day, totally. The first day I went in early to it was extra $30 to go on the Integratron, the Giant Rock tour, and there were 100 people. It was an hour and a half away that we drove by ourselves to Landers, California, from Indian Wells.
Okay.
And then but 100 enough people to hold hands around Giant Rock and chant, because we're in California. It was like there was a lot.
I would be that guy that's like, I don't know you, I'm not holding your hand, and I'm not chanting around this giant rock.
I would do it.
At that point, you were totally in.
You know what, man? Kumbaya or not, I don't know how in I could be.
It was
because having worked in the corporate world and seen enough people go into the men's room and do despicable things in there because of the food they ate, and then come out and not wash the hands on the way out the door. No.
Well, yeah. Desert rules.
What is?
Desert rules.
What is this thing? It says Cosmic Cafe Experiencers Gathering. Share your stories.
Now that was one
of
the
reasons. Is that like open mic night?
I went to go. Yes, it was. Basically, cool. it was for experiencers, and that was going on. They had one of those every day, and I totally intended to go with a stack of my cards and to pick out somebody that was really interesting and say, I would love to do a past life
regression
journey with you.
Yeah.
And here's my card. Call me and do that. And then I never made it to any of them because there was too many things going on at the same time. It was also it was not a separate slot. It was between.
Oh, you're right.
It was the same time slot as Nick Pope or Jacques Vallée or somebody else doing a presentation.
Oh.
So you really, again, it was a series of hard choices every single
Yeah,
every
because
2 hours you had to make a hard choice of who you're going to spend.
so
time
this
with.
booklet that Bobby brought is actually literally laid out like a high school schedule,
Yes,
block
very
schedule.
much. Yeah, with
But
5 classes every 2 hours.
I just noticed what he pointed out. There's like a little section that says 2:15 to 4 p.m. and it says this Cosmic Cafe, this open mic, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But then right below it is another 2:15 to 4 p.m. block, and those are like
With
the
5 or 6
speakers
yes.
I would love to see.
Yes, and one of them is having a workshop because
Yeah.
you saw them the day before. So it's like, yeah, you literally had to be triplets, to split yourself into 2 clones.
Which explains why some other podcasts that we both listen to, they would send one person in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I did that with my friend. You go see so and so, and then let's have lunch
Yeah.
afterwards. We'll compare notes, and a lot of times and it happened more than once. I took about. After about 15 minutes, I had to get out of there. And
This
I went and saw somebody
schedule
else.
Yeah.
is like 5 front and back pages.
Yeah.
It's basically
Absolutely.
Okay. What we're going to do is Omi is going to take a picture of the schedule and stick it up on the internet somewhere. Because wow.
And unfortunately, my bag was that little booklet was in my bag, and it got watered, and it's.
That's what
crunchy by
Instagram
this
filters are for.
Yeah.
Bill. That's what Instagram filters are for.
Okay. Well, I just meant it's crinkly at this point. So the first presentation I saw was Ray Hernandez, who's got the Foundation for Research into Extraordinarily Encounters or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And he came up with it's just data driven. He's got 2,600 questionnaires from contactees.
Right.
And he's talking about it's the highly favorable, slightly favorable, in the middle, not favorable, and I was laying on the floor of my shower crying. Covering all these different. And one of the first screens I saw was 26% of contactees have received information about past lives as a result of their contact. It's like, bingo, I'm in the right place. That was so awesome. Wow. I was like, all right, I found something. I can deduct this from my taxes. It was a research project.
Well, I mean, it would be really.
But that's
crazy.
The reason I went to Contact is because there were so many people that it wasn't just about nuts and bolts crafts. There was a lot of stuff about consciousness and ancient archaeology and the bigger picture of not just UFO stuff,
right.
which was really, really fascinating. And that was one of the things I never expected to hear that statistic. I was really, really impressed with that.
That's
Searching the Skies, a night vision Google experience or goggle experience.
That was
a Google experience.
This is a little folded because it was in his.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
it was in my.
It's definitely as small as they can print that.
Again, by day 4, that had been crunched up in my pocket.
Well, you could still frame it because this is definitely like a lifetime experience.
Yeah, you only paid.
It was
okay.
It was
so that's a question. So you were there from Friday till
from
4 days.
Thursday till Sunday night.
Yeah.
And just in the contact in the desert, what do you think you spent total?
If you're comfortable.
Well, it was $270 for the ticket.
You need to be comfortable.
Yeah, it was $270 for the ticket when I bought it.
Okay.
I think it was $300 by the time I got to the door.
Yeah.
And it was $250 if I'd gotten it a week before. So it kept going. Like, it keeps going up as you get closer to it. And then the only workshop I did the day before Journey to Giant Rock and the Integratron.
and the Integratron.
And that was $30.
Or Integratron.
So I just put like basically $300 just to them,
to
the plus the airfare and hotel and car and stuff like that.
So what's the total?
It was a lot of money.
Come on, man. What's the total?
I don't know, $1,200, something like that.
Okay, well, that's really. I mean, is that like total, like air?
Well, I had miles saved up. That's the only reason I was able to.
So you figure, okay, so you were there for those 4 days, and just for the event, you spent about $500.
Well, it was $300.
$300.
That,
and
then
I'm counting ticket too.
Yeah, counting
the
ticket
too.
Ticket and food.
Yeah. Easily.
So you figure about $1,000.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, and then 5 nights in a hotel. I'm not a camper.
Yeah.
I 5 nights in a hotel, and then I flew into Vegas and drove down so I could drive through the. Vegas.
So about $2,000.
15.
$1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really not bad because I mean I priced tickets for Burning Man. Because I'm thinking, we have a camper van. I'm like, we should go to Burning Man. And when I read, and the advance tickets were $900.
Yeah.
And then I looked, there were some cheaper prices too, but I was like, wait a minute, just to get there.
Yeah.
It was like $900, and that wasn't actually getting there. That was just to get in the door, if you will, at Burning Man was like about $900 because two of us.
And there's that would make a great discussion for
now, what I did find though is that again like you were saying, if you ordered early, they were like $400 a person or something like that.
Okay.
And there was like deals for whatever. So if you shopped around, you kind of got a deal. But I was blown away. But I'm like $900 to go in the desert.
Yeah.
And I kind of get why it's so big, but realistically, to go out there, spend 4 days, and see these people that you see on television, hear on the radio, and have it packed the way it is, and just a spreadsheet for the schedule alone is pretty well organized. I could totally see that being worth the money.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. There's no doubt. I mean, it's tempting to do it again. Depending on who the president.
I mean, because I could totally see being so overwhelmed that you just kind of blow the first day, not even knowing what the hell is going on.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
It's kind of like we were talking about like high school. You had like a sophomore to show your freshman self around to get you from place to place to place.
And I did. I got to hang out with a local who knew how to navigate it better than I did. And
I could see wasting that whole day just going, "Why did come on?" And then the next time you'd have a plan. Because you would know what to expect.
So what would be?
I'm doing that. I'm going to do this.
I mean, yes, it sounds like it's an investment, but it seems like it's worth it.
Absolutely.
Would you consider this like a bucket list thing, and would you go again?
Interestingly, the Giant Rock and the Integratron was a bucket list thing. I mean, I really I didn't get to do the sound bath experience at the Integratron, but. And so I have to go back to do that, literally, because there were too many of us to get in. It was already sold out. They only had 2 time slots, or 2 or 3, whatever it was, and there were twice as many people. So I think they got blown away by how many people they were. It looked overcrowded.
Yeah.
Like by Sunday, it looked overcrowded. The Integratron trip was totally overcrowded by twice as many,
Yeah.
So, I don't know how else to do it. I don't know how else to navigate it except to book early, and now I know who to go see and who not to go see, I guess.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at the one picture, and I'm like...
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty astounding.
And then, I don't know.
The other thing is that all these people that you've heard and you've read all their books, they have to walk from... There's no... backstage, they have to walk from room to room and stuff like that. So
it's like big high school.
Yeah. So
Mr. Nori.
So I'm a Jacques Vallée nerd. I have one of his novels called Fast Walkers that he wrote, and I stuck it in my suitcase, and I said, I'm going to get Jacques Vallée's autograph on this. So because by that point I was exhausted and dehydrated and jet lagged, I completely forgot about it. So I'm sitting outside on the deck because the rooms are freezing, and then you go outside in the sun and warm off for a little bit. And I'm sitting there talking to my friend, and Jacques Vallée walks out, and he's standing 3 feet away from me, and I'm going,
"Oh man!"
I totally could have walked up and said, "Hello, Dr. Vallée, can I get your autograph?" And it would have been like the capper for my whole experience. And it was in my suitcase, but my suitcase was 10 miles away at my hotel, and I couldn't, say, "Stall him," and I'll go.
So that would have been like the last question. What would you have done differently? That's what it would have been.
I would have brought a mini backpack.
Wait, hold on. You didn't bring a backpack?
Well, I did, but it was. I carried what I. It was. I did. Yes.
So were you allowed to take pictures inside there at all?
Yes, but no recording. Yeah. So, but what people were doing is taking pictures. Like there were screens on either side, so you could see their presentation, and people were taking a lot of. Like I've got pictures of the screens of individual things that were so cool that people said. And a lot of that going on, but no recording.
No.
Yeah, so that's one thing.
So you would have carried a fanny pack.
Yes, a fanny pack that would fit a Jacques Vallée or whoever book I wanted to get signed, because those people had to go from one room to the next also, and you could totally run into it.
You could have just had him like sign your chest, and you could have got a tattoo or something, like rock stars.
I think I think he might not have been impressed.
He might have. You
He
never know.
looked like-
He'd be
yeah,
like,
like-
can you sign my?
My sleeve tattoo.
Can
I don't have it.
Oh,
To
no.
Bobby.
yeah.
with infinite love and gratitude, Jacques V.
Yeah, Jacques Vallée.
Bobby B from Jacques V. Jacques
That'd
B.
be. That'd be. You know what? You could put that on. You could put that on your bucket list and then take it off your bucket list.
Oh,
Getting the
gosh.
tattoo of Jacques
So
Vallée.
you pencil that in,
And then take it off.
let it sit for a day, and then go, done.
Actually, I'm such a nerd. Going to a UFO conference was literally on my bucket list. It was like, you have to. Like, I was going back and forth on Twitter with various people, going, "Oh my God, look at all these lunatics on there." But then I went, "Oh my God, how many times is Jacques Vallée and Whitley Strieber going to do this?"
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
2 years ago would have been, Stanton Friedman and Jim Morris.
Yeah.
See,
and
and they're gone.
Yeah.
And now it's like,
and see, Stanton Friedman is so far like one. I think for me would have been one of the people I want to meet. Or I would have at the top.
Yeah,
if it was like George Norrie and Stanton Friedman standing there, and it's like you can only choose one, I'm going for Stanton.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Yeah,
like, sorry,
yeah.
George.
Yeah.
And if it's like George Norrie,
Georgie?
Sokolos,
David
Stanton Friedman,
Wilcock.
I'm going for
Yeah.
Stanton Friedman.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
because. Yeah, and I get it, and which is funny because we talk about this stuff all the time, especially on the podcast and with people we know and friends and stuff like that. And I don't think of us as being nerds about this.
Oh,
kind of
really?
thing.
Yeah.
But I think people that don't give a crap about any of this would be looking at it like, look at those nerds.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. But what was
it's like a jawbreaker. You've got like the super ultra concentrated nerdy people.
Yes,
and we're
absolutely.
about like 5 rows out, I think, with the whole thing.
But what was interesting about the presentation is, first of all, I remember saying to somebody, you realize how unbearable we're going to be after marinating in this stuff for 4 days in the desert and then going home and going, I can't even talk to. Nobody wants to talk to me about it.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, they did a pretty good job of covering all base. Like I said, you can go and see Jacques Vallée and Richard, Dolan, or you can go see David Wilcock and Emery Smith and the TV people. You had a range of presenters that would cover your. They're going to get butts in the seats with Wilcock and Georgie. But they also had enough people, some substance people, that would draw people like me in, who are a little bit more, who don't have cable, and are gonna follow some of the heavier duty people. So I'll give them credit for that. They know.
So they got the right mix to kind of cover.
They did have a good mix, except for the fact that they put all those people on at the same time. So, I said, Mary Wadwell and Nick Pope and Graham Houck at the same time. That's just cruel.
Yeah.
It's like, please.
Because that's my biggest hang up on this is you have to make some really.
Oh, absolutely.
If this is a bucket list trip and you only get to go once.
Exactly.
Well,
and that's what I thought. It's like, they're just setting me up to come back next year.
Yeah.
And, okay, next year I'll go see Mary Rodwell instead of,
I could I could see having to do it multiple times.
Yeah, and
because I just from my little glancing at the little catalog there, and I'm like, okay, so I'm like about 5 to 6 in, and then I did a quick glance at the schedule. I'm like, half of those people were talking at the same time, so I would have had to pick.
Absolutely.
And my
but then, then you can go to their workshop the next day if you missed their presentation and spend an extra,
$60.
Clifford Mahoody's workshop was $29, but it was at 7:45 on Sunday. It's like that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then David Wilcock was $69 for his workshop.
Oh,
so that's an extra $70, and then he had a intensive on Monday where you could go see him again.
Yeah.
So you do have multiple choices to see people, but you got to.
So you actually got away. I mean, really, if you look at the total cost or just the cost that it could be, like projected cost based off of if you really like somebody, you went to all 3 of their things, like their presentation and their intensive and their workshop. I can see the ultra nerd UFO people
spending thousands,
spending $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 at this event.
And if you stayed at the hotel, which is
Yeah.
A couple $100.
Yeah, a night. Yeah.
Oh.
So you're looking at like $800, $900 just for the hotel, and then you have the event. It's like $300, and if it's a couple, then probably about $450.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So you're rocking like $5,000, $6,000, $10,000, man.
Yeah, it's
and so for you to do all that and then get out there and eat and then get back, and you only spent $1,500 roughly. Let's just say $1,700 with tax, title, license, insurance, and other crap price. That's really good.
Yeah, to knock something off your bucket list.
Yeah,
it's
cheaper. There's only like one or two people I know that could do better than that. That could do that for a lot less than you spent.
Yeah,
and that's us.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, you guys would be camping.
We have a camper van. We'd roll out there.
Guy.
So.
I like my Holiday Inn Express.
I do too. But see, with us, here's what I could see us doing. I could see us going out there and either buying the tickets for the entire weekend or a day and picking like 3 or 4 or 5 people, that we could do within that time frame. And then for us, we'd spend the rest of the time like cruising around the Southwest, going to like back down towards like New Mexico and all that, and seeing these geological wonders,
Yeah, I think they had single-day tickets. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think I've seen somewhere in there they had like a single day.
Because I think there's definitely people. It's only 2 hours from L.A. at that point, so there were definitely people coming just for the day that weren't staying.
We would be going the other way.
Yeah.
L.A. Nope. So heading back into the desert.
Some of these names I'm looking at, and I'm seeing the faces because I may have heard the name on the radio or whatever.
Right.
And you look at their face, and you're like, "Oh, what the hell was that all about?"
No, more like I'm looking at their face. I'm like, we saw them in Whole Foods when we lived in Albuquerque.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I mean, Travis Walton was sitting at the author table, the whole time, looking like he'd rather be fishing, but he was still, he was like, "Oh my God, that's Travis." I know who these people are.
You're like, "Hey, bro."
Jimmy Church was there. The whole time he was holding court with his radio crew and a bunch of authors, people that you know, and they're just like right there. Again, it's nerd marination.
Yeah.
You're just
saturated.
Saturating in it.
See, and the funny thing about this is, kind of getting ready to wrap this up, is that we're looking at this saying, man, we could go there and see these people, and you brought up Jimmy Church, and he was probably broadcasting from that because I'm sure he's big enough to be able to do that. Yeah. And we have an opportunity to do the same thing. Our podcast, we're going to be going to Paracon.
Carolina Paracon,
which was new to us. It's a new event. And we've been invited to go. And we have a link to Paracon, Carolina Paracon, on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
But I kind of think it's how it starts because, we've done a couple events so far, and we're going to be doing this one, and we have like 6 more left this year to do. And I can totally see how our small experience with these small, let's just say small conferences and small venues, completely work for the very large venue. It's just like it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
It is.
So
it's just a setup. Yeah.
So if you want to go to a conference and see, cryptids or UFOs or Bigfoots, when you have these local experience or local events in your locality, wherever you are, you should go. Yeah. Instead of spending, say $1,200, $1,700, you can spend $12 and have a smaller experience. But realistically, you're going to have almost the same experience.
Yeah.
Because think about when we actually went to the space, right? Spruce Pine Alien Convention and Expo.
We saw what's his face.
That's nice.
No,
we saw
what's his
face.
I'm drawing a blank right now because I'm just like overwhelmed by all these.
But
names.
I mean, okay, so we had what's his face and a couple others, but and granted, it was a smaller venue, and it was kind of the same thing. He had to walk through all the people to get where he had to be, and you could talk to him, so you can have sort of the same experience.
Mike Barra, thank you.
Yeah. Sorry about that, at Mike Barra. But
well, I was also thinking the other
author.
Yeah, the other author.
Donna?
Yeah,
Donna Friedrich.
Yeah, because she's on a circuit too. And
well, they all are, and that's kind of the sort of thing. Is like, okay, so you got to go see the Super Bowl. Well, you didn't get to go. You earned it. And we're kind of doing the same thing because, like with Paracon, Carolina Paracon, we did the space, and with all the other events, it's like I can totally see how that turns into something bigger, and I can totally see the price escalating, because these are like the super duper famous people out of all of this UFO type stuff. Of these guys, So,
I mean, if
I just
you,
think it's kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, if you there was a radio show there.
Yeah.
I showed you guys. I sent you guys a picture of the Creep Show.
Yeah.
yeah.
Creep-
It was a couple.
Creeper Studio.
Creeper Studio. Clive Ohm was there.
Yeah, I mean,
Which I
it
thought
was just
pretty
like
cool. Jimmy Church was there.
I could see where it would be a way of getting if you were going to do we're going to do this to launch ourselves.
Yeah.
It would be an awesome way because 4,000 nerds would see you walking around with Creep Geeks, swag and stuff. It would be a fantastic way to get yourself out.
The photo you sent me of them, they were actually launching there because they're only 6 episodes in, and it's like a cartoon. I
never did figure out what it was. That's interesting. So they were right by the bathroom, so I had to pass. They were in the main room, so.
That's like the best and worst place to be.
Exactly.
Because if the bathroom is full and they're like, well, so what do you guys do?
Yeah.
As they're sitting there with like clothespins on their nose. Well, let me tell you,
But it's funny because like the podcasts that had special guests at this, I may not have heard of them.
Like a
Bigfoot Collectors Club.
Nope, never heard of them.
Michael McMillan.
Nope.
I
mean, this might be a California thing. They're
and then
to the area.
Cryptid Factor, which I think I've heard of.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one day you're going to see Creep Geeks there.
Absolutely.
Oh, this is why I know Cryptid Factor. Founding members Rhys Darby and David Ferrier, who I think is an actor, I think. Yeah, so I think that's why they sound familiar. And they were going to be interviewing Linda Moulton Howe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing. You've got access to all these people that are bouncing around.
We're actually friends with Linda Moulton Howe on LinkedIn. It's
close,
weird.
Warm and close personal friends.
Well, she's New Mexico, so she's all about Albuquerque.
And I wanted to see her presentation, and it was up against somebody else, and I just had to make a hard choice.
Oh, Rhys Darby is he was the tour guide on the Jumanji. Yeah.
Very nice.
So.
Very cool. So I'm glad you had a chance to stop by and tell us all about it because, I mean, we talked about it, and for us it was a missed opportunity through lack of planning on my part, honestly. But and we sort of talked about this before the podcast about your experience. So the question is, would you go back?
Probably depending on the
circumstance.
Presenters?
It took Whitley Strieber and Jacques Vallée to get me out there. Like who do I want to see next year? Like who? Like I don't know if I could buy a ticket now and think about it, but it's like because I made the decision a month before, but at that point it was like look at the conglomeration of people. I mean, and they even post the schedule before, so you go. I remember building my plan. Like, okay, if I have X amount of people there, then I can make a weekend of it, and I'll go ahead and do it. So it's going to probably get closer to it. And I would just for the experience, it would be fun. I might want to do a different conference, like one in Laughlin or Las Vegas or just to see what
that's all about.
Like there's a bunch of them coming up. There's one for like a remote viewing consciousness expansion one in Laughlin in Nevada that looked really interesting with
Russell
Targ and a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
I got to see him do the introduction to the movie, the Spies movie. It was like, again, what's one of those? Oh my God, that's Russell Targ. Like you totally nerd out at that. So it would just take him out to like who's it going to take to make me drop. Pull my credit card out and go, I got to do that again. And I'm going to, somebody really interesting will be there to do it. So, it'll be was that May? It'll be a April decision next year to see whether I want to go down or not.
Okay. Huh.
Yes.
But unless you guys are going, in which case I'll
I have a meter that goes from 0 to 100, and I know you've heard me say this before. I'm sitting at 60%.
60? Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
For him,
I'm right at 50 right now.
I was at 50, and then from looking at the catalog and talking to you a little bit more and thinking about logistics and the fact that, sometimes I forget that we actually have our simple DIY camper van that has right now, after having it over a year, only 9,000 miles on it. It's like, and the fact that we've made this cross-country trip multiple times, it's like I know exactly where this. It's like, man, this would be easy.
Yeah. And
that's what took me from 50 to like,
And along with your PDF on do's and don'ts for Area 51 storming, there's going to be the
contact
PDF
in the desert
on
Contact in the desert.
RAV4 camping, roof tent camping for next year.
roof tent / camper van camping, and all of that.
Yeah.
Actually, we could totally plan out, like, if you had a, say, 16 days. If you had 16 days to travel the Southwest to go to an event like this, where you could go basically for inexpensive or free and see some amazing things. Yeah, we could totally do that. And it's got me kind of scheming an idea to maybe make that happen.
Yeah, because you can make a tour of it.
Yeah, good.
We're going to be tour guides for the what do you call it, the leaf wraparounds for the Arizona and then the
big,
New
big
Mexico
circular routes and stuff. Yeah. We could, but and the problem with that is that I don't like people enough to want to hang out with them like that. Okay. Can you imagine being a tour guide and people are like, this Monument Valley sucks. The Wi-Fi is no good here.
2 stars.
Yeah. Oops. It's like when Yellowstone gets 2 stars for Wi-Fi. I can't imagine what
Grand Canyon is just a whole 2 stars.
Grand Canyon sucks. Wi-Fi is bad. No internet. 2 stars. That kind of thing. But the funny thing is that as we wrap this up, the National Park Service and other government agencies had a shift in their thinking when they started seeing some of those results and things like that from the younger generation as to why would they not want to go to see something like this. Mm-hmm. And they come to the realization that, people want to go and experience it, but the youngsters, right, they go, they experience it, they take a picture, they put it on the internet so everybody else can experience it. So why would they want to go if they can't live and do what they like to do? So they started putting Wi-Fi in parks and doing that, and which makes complete sense to me.
Except
because
if you're trying to get away from Wi-Fi for
but here's the thing that
14 hours.
People forget. You can turn that shit off. Don't tell me it's our podcast. I'll say whatever I want. How dare you? You can turn off Wi-Fi on your phone. And then you don't.
I meant being bombarded by
turn it off. Turn it off.
We turn our Wi-Fi off on our phones.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at night we have these little caps. They're made out of a tinfoil type material.
Okay.
To protect your gourd, but So it kind of
an aluminum tinfoil.
yeah. Heck yeah. So.
And at somebody point, it's actually tinfoil, not aluminum foil, because aluminum foil will poison your brain. So you have to make sure you're getting the good tinfoil.
Yeah. Well, tin has a little bit of lead in it. So
okay. Yeah.
So probably have to use Mylar and neoprene. Make it stretchy.
Anyway, so if you guys go, that will push me over the.
I'm seriously.
It would be fun it would be a great hang. Put it that way. It would be a really fun hang with people because I didn't know anybody. I was lucky to hang out with a local who knew something about it. I wouldn't go by myself at all. And that was a push.
That's
for
just
me.
It's kind of like, man, because I like myself, and there'd be certain people I'd want to go and see, but then you're sitting there and you're like, man, that was great. Yeah, I'm talking to some random stranger. Hey, man, you know what I mean? It would just be kind of weird because who do you nerd out to? Because then,
exactly.
If you didn't have like a nerd with you, you just have to find. You lucked out because you actually met another a like-minded nerd. But if you're kind of by yourself and you just like, I can see that. It'd be almost like going to a concert by yourself.
Well, or going to Burning Man by
yourself.
Yeah,
going to
Burning Man. 4 days.
It's like 4 days.
Yeah.
That'd be
Which
weird.
Burning Man, that $900 ticket, and you still have to bring your own water.
It was like a couple's ticket thing, but I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it's cheaper but yeah. All right, so anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. So where can people listen to us and find us there, Amy?
They can listen to us on Facebook and Google Play and Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and almost all major podcast platforms. If you do want to reach out to us, contact at creepgeeks.com or use our social media outlets. Yes. We're going to put links to Bobby's website. That's pastlivesproject.org. I'm trying to verify what I just said right there.
And I've got an update, a recap. The pastlivesguy.blogspot.com.
Mm-hmm.
Contact in the Desert recap I posted on July 6th with all pictures and some details.
We'll link to that this week too. Yeah.
Actually, and that will also be in our show notes.
Yes.
So, what do you got coming up, Bobby? What's going on? Give people a spiel.
I'm still recovering from Contact in the Desert, so I'm not doing anything till the August 1st meetup back here in Asheville. And I will let you guys
Asheville,
know about
North
that.
Carolina.
Oh, and we're going to do something different. We are going to, the first Creep Geeks listener that comes up and tells me they heard about the meetup, the Past Lives Project meetup, on the Creep Geeks podcast gets Creep Geeks swag. I have swag for you.
Prepare
Just
to be
make sure-
amazed and slightly disappointed. Nice.
Shocked, amazed,
Yes,
and disappointed.
shocked and amazed.
Stunned, amazed, and disappointed. Yes, please come out if you hear this and let me know you heard it here. And I've got Creep Geeks swag for you.
Cool.
Sweet. Very nice.
Yes.
All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up the podcast.
Thank you, guys. It was a blast.
It's been
Yeah.
very much fun, very much appreciated. Do appreciate the update for sure. It has put something on our radar that we probably weren't thinking too much about. So it'll be good. So for those of you listening to the podcast, very much appreciate it. So yeah, it's about it for us. So see you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.